Hello, everybody. Good evening. How's everybody doing tonight? It is that time once again, 6 p.m. Central, Saturday, December 9th, 2023. You're tuned in right here to Mild's Culture Plate. I am your host, Mild Kevin Miles. And we have quite the show, ladies and gentlemen, feds and degenerates, cuckolds of all ages. And I do mean cuckolds of all ages. We have a cuckold-filled program for you today. As always, whoa. As always, had a little bubble in my throat there for a second. As always, anyone that says hey to me in the chat, says hello in the chat, or says really anything in the chat. Uh-oh, I just killed my overlay. There we go. Anyone that says hey in the chat, shut up, I can cook here. You say hello in the chat, I'll give you a toast. Today's whiskey, I kind of wanted to switch things up. I've been drinking a little bit of that Highland Park 12 lately. Wanted to switch up. I'm drinking some Jefferson's Ocean Voyage 24. If you're not familiar with Jefferson's Ocean, it's they put it in rum casks and put it out to sea, so the motion of the ocean can really aerate the bourbon. And you know, it gets aged in an interesting way. And shut up, I can cook. Cheers to you. Shut up, I can cook. Enjoying my hair today. I literally just had to brush it out. I totally intended to hop in the shower. I've been doing chores. My face is a little splotchy there on the camera. But I've totally been doing chores and trying to catch up on a bunch of housework. Because just on a personal note, I'm going in for a sleep study tomorrow evening. So you may catch an extra program here on Monday because I won't be going to work, even though I could possibly go if I really, put the pedal to the metal. I could probably make it from the hospital to my job, but I'm not going to try to do that. So yeah, I'm going in for a sleep study tomorrow night. That's kind of been the subject of the diet. So, cheers to Shut Up, I Can Cook. Cheers to myself for being able to shed the weight in preparation for this sleep study. And, glad you all have been on that journey with me to some degree. I feel like I've been properly held accountable by the internet shamers. So yeah, eventually my goal is to have Nick Recato on here and fat shame me. But that's years down the road. There's some conversations behind the scenes, but I won't hold my breath. Nick is a very unpredictable person. Anyway, so yeah, we have a lot to cover here today, especially a lot of cuckoldry. Speaking of cuckoldry, this isn't necessarily cuckoldry, but cuckoldry adjacent. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this story, but I just happened I was on Fox News looking for Hunter Biden stuff today, and I scrolled across this story here. Virginia Democrat featured in streamed sex acts online says she's the victim. My entire life was rocked. Content that is initially made in a consensual context, which is then distributed in a non-consensual context digitally, is a crime, Gibson said. So she's trying to claim that her chatterbait was revenge porn or something. A Virginia Democrat who's featured in more than a dozen video streams of her and her husband having sex online for tips is speaking out, claiming to be a victim of invasion of privacy. In a recent interview with Politico, former Virginia House of Delegates candidate Susanna Gibson spoke about how she felt about the explicit video surfing ahead of her election loss earlier this year. It is a feeling I would not wish on my worst enemy, the Democrat, a nurse practitioner and mother of two, told the outlet. Gibson made waves in September after an archived live stream videos of her having sex with her husband resurfaced and circulated online. Washington Post broke the story, reporting that the couple has solicited payments from viewers in exchange for specific sex acts. The Post headlined the story, Virginia Dem House candidate performs sex online with husband for tips. So again, it's not revenge porn. Like, you put it out there, period. Non-consensual context. There's no such thing. When it's in the public, it's public. So yeah, cry the victim. You lost. You lost. Stop crying. Go away. Okay, so let's kind of get in. You know how it is. These conservative news outlets. These conservative news outlets will slam. You know, the stuff happens for Hunter Biden. Let me go ahead and just bring this one up. These conservative news outlets will slam Hunter Biden like from all angles, and I found this particular story, the different angles and different takes. I found it interesting. You know, I think it's important to analyze this from all these different angles. So here's the base story. I'm not going to read the 58-page document. There's a lot of channels out there that do. There's 2 news stories I'm going to follow here from, maybe 3 that I'm going to follow here from Fox. And again, Fox is a allegedly a super conservative news outlet. You know, they're also mainstream news, so go figure. But so, you know, take everything they say with a grain of salt, but this is their rundown of the new indictment in California. There are 9 charges. Like I said, it's a 58-page document. President Biden's son Hunter was indicted in California on Thursday on a litany of tax charges, according to documents made public. The indictment, Hunter Biden's failure to pay nearly $200,000 of income tax in the year 2019. Special counsel David Weiss has been using a federal grand jury in LA to gather evidence of a possible criminal charges against Hunter Biden. Hunter Biden pleaded, and they've got the whole 56-page document here. Not going to be going through that. Hunter Biden pled not guilty in October to federal gun charges in U.S. District Court for the District of Delaware after being charged out of Weiss's year-long investigation. Fox News Digital has reached out to Biden's legal team for comment. A spokesperson for special counsel Weiss declined to comment. Thursday's development comes ahead of an expected vote from House Republican leaders next week on a measure that would formally initiate an impeachment inquiry into President Biden over possible ties to his son's business dealings. Earlier this week, House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer of Kentucky released subpoenaed bank records showing an entity owned by Hunter Biden had made, quote, direct monthly payments to Joe Biden. Let me go ahead and bring this up here. What am I doing wrong? Oh, clicking the wrong button. Okay, we got a chat here from Andrew War Snowboard. Welcome, brother. Cheers. Takes the term Shithead Steve to a whole new level. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. As we're going to find out in the next article. In the next article, we're going to find that out. Okay, Comer attributed Thursday's indictment to the efforts of 2 brave IRS whistleblowers, Gary Shapley and Joseph Sigler. And going around Twitter, I should have went and found this. In fact, I might be able to find this now. Here, let me see if I can find it. There's a video. No. I'm not going to be able to find it that easily. Okay. Oh, yep. I found it. All right. Let me do this. This is, how long is this video? 3 minutes 42. Yeah, well, we got time. Let's watch this instead for a minute. So you heard the term whistleblower used there. Check this out. This is the difference between a whistleblower exposing, quote, Trump corruption that turned out to be lies, versus whistleblowers who talk about Hunter Biden and President Biden's corruption. So this is how the media treats whistleblowers, whether they're under Hunter Biden or Hunter Donald Trump? So let's see our media in action here.
The attack on the whistleblower is never wise. It's never lawful. It's never honorable. It's everything you said. It's a travesty.
Okay, so every time it says 2019, and they keep cutting to this guy blowing a whistle. This is from Graby, and they made this compilation. They keep cutting to this guy blowing the whistle. I'm going to keep trying to skip forward from that. But okay, so anytime it says 2019, that's the whistleblower revealing, quote, Trump corruption that never panned out. And every time it says 2023, they're talking about the Hunter Biden whistleblowers, the IRS whistleblowers.
Deserve whistleblower protection. Each and every one of them has a strange history, has, guess what, Russian connections.
They always do.
These are not, as we would consider them, whistleblowers. People who
Not sure what you're talking about there, Cookie. I don't know what I just did, but sure.
are alleging wrongdoing.
They weren't really whistleblowers at all. In fact, they weren't even credible witnesses.
2 or 3 people
not
who are
credible,
political
not really
operatives, but they're
whistleblowers.
not whistleblowers. These
Russian
guys
ties,
are not whistleblowers.
Not
period.
whistleblowers.
Is a hardworking, patriotic person in the intelligence community who just wants to put the information out there.
The president to call into question the credibility of this whistleblower. They're referring to this whistleblower as the so-called whistleblower.
Okay, so criticizing Republicans for criticizing the whistleblower.
So-called whistleblower on the Biden family.
So-called.
Welcome back to so-called whistleblower.
So-called.
The so-called whistleblowers.
See so-called whistleblowers.
So-called whistleblowers.
So-called whistleblowers.
So-called whistleblower.
So-called whistleblower.
So-called whistleblowers.
Whistleblowers, that's what he's calling
When
them.
the mainstream media gets their talking point, they really fucking dig in, don't they?
Whistleblower.
The GOP is marketing as whistleblowers.
Quote unquote whistleblowers.
Jim Jordan, who's the chair of the Oversight Committee, is lauding them as brave Americans.
Whistleblower, a true patriot coming forward with the allegations.
But that's why the whistleblower is a hero in many ways.
Hero!
This whistleblower is a hero.
The whistleblower is a public servant.
And now,
Public servant.
Anonymous.
kind of like heroism is being kind of thrust on this person.
You can't imply this person is partisan. The person has been deemed credible and a patriot.
Great
Credible
courage
patriot.
to do the right
Courage.
The whistleblower did was really patriotic.
thing. This whistleblower was not alone spiritually.
The best composed, best written.
Okay, so I think you get the point by now, right? Y'all get the point. So with mainstream media had a lot of shit to talk.
Best documented such complaint I've ever seen.
Thank you, whistleblower. I consider your complaint to be credible and urgent.
Credible
Do
and
what Donald
urgent.
Trump was doing.
So you get the point. You know, when the whistleblower has bad things to say about Trump, they're heroic and noble and courageous. When a whistleblower has something to say about Joe and Hunter Biden, oh, they're not credible. They're a so-called whistleblower, right? So let's bring the article back up. Let's bring the article back up. Okay. Comer attributed Thursday's indictments to the efforts of 2 brave IRS whistleblowers, Gary Shapley and Joseph Ziegler. The Department of Justice got caught in its attempt to give Hunter Biden an unprecedented sweetheart plea deal, Comer said. Every American should applaud these men for their courage to expose the truth. Unless U.S. Attorney Weiss investigates everyone involved in Biden's fraud schemes and influence peddling, it will be clear President Biden's DOJ is protecting Hunter and the big guy. The White House has repeatedly said President Biden did nothing wrong and had no knowledge of his son's business dealings. House Republicans, meanwhile, have warned the younger Biden that they would move to hold him in contempt of Congress if he didn't appear for a closed-door deposition on December 13th. Hunter Biden has insisted he would only testify to the House if it's in public because information from closed-door testimonies is selectively leaked and used to manipulate even history, the facts, and misinform the American public. Then Fox says this is a developing story. Check back for updates. Okay, so yeah, let's check on those updates. Let's check on that here. Check this out. Also from Fox News. From sex clubs to strippers, here are the 5 most salacious details from the Hunter Biden indictment. Biden was indicted on 9 new charges in California related to allegedly failing to pay taxes. This is by Brandon Gillespie of Fox News. Oh man, he posted this at frickin' midnight East Coast time this morning. Possible jungle fever. I mean, I really had a bad case of it when I was younger, but where are my shades? You know what? I'm not sure. I don't remember what I've done with. I think they might be upstairs. And then, do these women not know how beautiful 1950s women looked? Wow. No, they sure don't. According to the indictment filed by DOJ Special Counsel David Weiss, Biden spent hundreds of thousands of dollars specifically on, quote, adult entertainment and, quote, women, including a sex club membership and strippers. Look, if you've been following this story for a while, you kind of knew some of this already. One, Biden allegedly spent a total of $872,000 in $872,172 on, quote, various women and adult entertainment. From 2016 to 2019, Biden allegedly spent $683,212 paying what the indictment described as, quote, various women, including people he had romantic or sexual relationships with, and $188,960 on adult entertainment, including a sex club membership, exotic dancers, and strip clubs. Between 2016 and October 15, 2020, the defendant spent this money on drugs, escorts and girlfriends, luxury hotels and rental properties, exotic cars, clothing, and other items for a personal nature. In short, everything but his taxes, the indictment read. The total $872,172 was just a portion of the millions Biden allegedly spent in those years before ultimately receiving financial support between January and October 2020 that still did not go to the IRS. Biden allegedly failed to identify payments to a stripper and escort as personal expenses rather than business expenses. So he categorized these as work-related expenses instead of his own spending. Biden met with his accountant in California on January 28, 2020, and reviewed the general ledger for his business entity, Owasco PC, to confirm line item accuracy. While he reviewed the schedules for office expense and professional and outside services, the defendant firmly identified with a yellow highlighter personal expenses that should not be deducted as business expenses, the indictment read. It added that he failed to identify a $1,500 Venmo payment made on August 14, 2018, to an exotic dancer at a strip club as a personal expense rather than business. The defendant described the payment in the Venmo transaction is for artwork. Artwork. The lady of the night is such an artist. Oh. Biden also allegedly failed to identify an $11,500 payment to an escort for spending 2 nights with him as a personal expense. Biden allegedly claimed money paid to sexual and romantic partners were wages. Oh, shit. My girlfriend's my employee. Sure. According to the indictment, Biden allegedly directed his personal assistant in 2018 to place 3 women, quote, with whom he had romantic or sexual relationships, and a 4th woman related to one of the 3 on his business payroll, as well as provide them with health care benefits. The indictment said Biden knew the wages, which totaled $86,000, were a false deduction, but he failed to inform his accountants. These payroll expenses were treated as business expenses on Owasco PC's Form 1120, reducing the amount of income to the defendant and as a result his individual income tax liability, the indictment read. 4. Biden allegedly falsely claimed stripper and sex club payments were business expenses. Now, it already kind of said this here. In January 2020, meeting with his California accountant, Biden allegedly falsely identified payments from his personal bank account and other wire transfers as business expenses. Many of the expenses the defendant circled were not, as he knew, business expenses. Instead, they were personal expenses generated during what he described in his memoir as Bacchanal in 2018. The indictment read, Biden allegedly circled one payment for $1,248 for airline tickets for an exotic dancer to fly from LA to New York in September 2018. The defendant wired money to J.P. Morgan Chase to pay personal expenses and falsely represented to the California accountants that these wire transfers were business expenses, the indictment read. In truth, the wire transfers from the Owasco to J.P. Morgan were to pay for personal expenses. One such wire transfer in July 2018 was for $18,000 to an individual not named, of which $10,000 was for Gulf member deposit, unquote. Wow. In fact, the defendant's direction, the $10,000 was used to purchase a membership in the sex club, the indictment read, noting he visited the club with the individual he wired the money to. Biden allegedly spent thousands on his business line of credit at a strip club. The indictment stated that Biden used his business line of credit, quote, to pay personal expenses and falsely represented to the California accountants it was for business expenses. In truth, the defendant had used the business line of credit to pay for luxury hotels, restaurants, high-end clothing, and other personal items in New York and in California during 2018, among others, it read. This allegedly included $3,947 in payments to M Street Management, a Washington, D.C. strip club, in January, and a $774 Venmo payment to an exotic dancer in April. Fox News Digital has reached out to Biden's legal team for comment after the indictment was handed down. Spokesperson for counsel Weiss declined to comment. Okay, so there's that, right? And then, so I just want to show this real quick. So this is off the Microsoft Bounce page, but it's still Fox News. Got Sanglant86 in the chat saying Hunter paying deposit to a member couldn't be. Cheers, man. Good to see you in the chat. Welcome. So this next story, like I said, this is going to show off the Microsoft Start page, but it's still Fox News. Let's look at this here. Biden repeatedly demanded wealthy pay, quote, fair share while Hunter allegedly evaded over $1 million in taxes. We don't really need to read this. It's all the same shit, but they just point out the fact that on the campaign trail and as president and vice president, Joe Biden's basically, quote, demanding the wealthy pay their fair share over and over and over again. Meanwhile, his son's dodging taxes. And so this is a bounce page from Yahoo News, but it's the Independent. Hunter Biden. So there was this. The reason I shared this, actually, I didn't actually mean to share this, but this headline was supposed to remind me to talk about Hunter Biden did a podcast with Moby. Yes, that Moby. The whole, the Moby that did the whole crappy song with what's her name? Gwen Stefani, right? Gwen Stefani and Moby. Anyway, that Moby has a podcast now in which he talked to Hunter Biden, right? And on that podcast, he not only called Elon Musk the, quote, dumbest smart person the world has ever known, but he also claimed that Republicans were trying to murder him. Republicans are trying to murder me. Mild, don't mind me, I'm enjoying Saturday. We're all enjoying Saturday. Saturday's a wonderful day. It's a wonderful day. Okay, let me remove that here remove that. Oh. Hang on, not quite. Got another chat come in. We have our good friend Julian Delfici in the chat. Minnie the Walking Penis. Oh, and then he says Moby. He corrected. So it's supposed to say Moby the Walking Penis. Here, I could actually. I'll correct that for you. Because I do this when I get a Rumble chat, I do it as a banner. I copy pasted as a banner. So yeah, Julian Delfigi says Moby the walking penis. Sure. Cheers, brother. Welcome to the chat. All right, so that's going to do it. Or wait, is it going to do it? Nope. There was one more angle. We need to look at this Hunter Biden stuff from. This is from the New York Post. Representative James Comer says the Hunter Biden indictment was to protect him. And then it was also said, okay, got a little chat fight going on between YouTube and Rumble here. Cookie wants a break from Julian. All right. James Comer says Hunter Biden indictment was to protect him. And there's also some people saying that maybe this was to protect him from revealing information about Joe. So let's see a little bit more into this. A top House Republican accused Special Counsel Weiss of indicting Hunter Biden to protect him from the chamber's sprawling investigation into the first family. Representative Comer of Kentucky, the House Oversight Chairman who is leading the congressional probe into Hunter and President Biden, said Weiss was only bringing the minimum possible charges to spare father and son from potentially more damaging revelations from his committee. Hunter Biden had been in talks to testify before the Oversight Committee next week. We think this is just the tip of the iceberg. We think there are many more crimes, Comer said on CNN Friday. And my concern is that Weiss may have indicted Hunter Biden to protect him from having to be deposed in the House Oversight Committee. Network anchor Jake Tapper was skeptical of the argument. We're not going to play the video here. No, we don't need to hear from Tapper. Yes, he indicted him to protect him. Yes, the classic rubric. He indicted him to protect him. I got it, Tapper responded sarcastically. He's facing like 17 additional years in prison. Okay, Tapper. So it's like the first indictment, like they tried to give him a sweetheart deal. Like they literally tried to give him a sweetheart deal. And then they made the charges go away. Right? But they didn't dismiss the charges. So they were able to bring them back right before he was about to testify. Okay. Gonna have to make another little... oh. Sorry, that was an old chat. My bad. Okay, we got Billdozer with another edited chat. I'm editing his chat because he sent two of them to edit the first. Got Billdozer74 saying, screw Tapper. Cheers, brother. Welcome to the chat. Welcome. All right. And now, of course, Cookie is over in Nick Ricada's chat. Still fighting with Julian. All right. Jake, this whole thing's been about a cover-up. You indicted him on the least little thing, the gun charge, and not paying taxes, Comer shot back. Anybody else in America would already be in prison. You say he owes $2 million. He may owe $7 or $8 million. If these loans are fraudulent loans, I mean, a loan means you're going to pay it back. Holy crap. Let me point out something here. We have, once again, Billdozer for $2. Billdozer, I want you to know, sir, I am going to keep your name. I'm going to keep your name in a little file that I have because I want to remember you in the future. You will be honored in the future if you wish to be, sir, because you are indeed my first financial supporter ever on any of my channels. You have given me my first Rumble rant or super chat or whatever you want to call it. You are literally the first person to give me a single penny on any of my channels. And I thank you so much, sir. Your name is going to go in a file of people that I specifically want to honor at a later date with certain things. So yes, let's see what kind of sweetheart plea deal they will give him this time. Yeah, because you know it's coming. Just like Comer knew it was coming. And the mainstream media can try to downplay it all they want. Oh, you know what? Have I been reading this article the whole time without it being brought up? Holy crap. So yeah, thank you so much, Billdozer. That $2, it's going to go into my technology upgrade fund. I will not spend a penny of any money spent on any of my channels whiskey or my own partying or my own life. I'm putting it back into this, putting it into growing our community and making this channel better. So thank you so much, Bill Dozer. Like I said, I'm gonna keep you in mind later. Cheers, brother. One more cheers, brother. Team Hunter, however, did not appear happy with the decision by Weiss, who they noted just months ago was ready to let the first son off the hook with misdemeanors. Hunter Biden's attorney, Abby Lowell, said prosecutors only brought new charges in response to, quote, Republican pressure. Now, after 5 years investigating with no new evidence and 2 years after Hunter paid his taxes in full, the U.S. attorney has piled on 9 new charges when he agreed just months ago to resolve this matter with a pair of misdemeanors, Lowell said in a statement. Yeah. It's all cover, man. It's all cover. Oh, and this was the one that I meant to bring up. So yeah, New York Post. Okay, I'm going to bring this back down. Okay, so that's the first of the 2 deep stories of the day. Let's bring this one up. And I might piss all of you off, especially Bill. I'm sorry, man. Look, I might piss everybody off with my take on this next one, but let's analyze it from different philosophical angles. And look, I myself am really conflicted about this next news article, but let's bring it up and let's talk about it, because that's what we do here at Miles Culture Plate. We talk about philosophy and we talk about why we feel the way we do, and whether or not our feelings are valid. And really, I'm attacking this from a few different angles. So let's look into the story and then talk about how we feel about it. Texas Supreme Court temporarily blocks a woman from emergency abortion. December 9th, Reuters. Texas Supreme Court temporarily blocked a pregnant woman from obtaining an emergency abortion on Friday, shortly after the state's attorney general requested the block. The legal battle is a major test case since the U.S. Supreme Court overturned the nationwide constitutional right to abortion last year, enabling states like Texas to pass near-complete bans. The Texas court halted a lower court ruling allowing the emergency abortion, responding to a petition from Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton earlier in the day. Without regard to the merits, the court administratively stays the district court's December 7th order, the late Friday ruling said. Let's see. Oh, we got the consultant saying feelings are for liberals. Cheers. No, but we debate logic and philosophy, right? Logic and philosophy, like how you feel about logic and philosophy is essentially how you think about logic and philosophy, which is important. We also got Sangolin86 saying nobody but God here. So yeah, look, I don't disagree. Feelings are for liberals, but we examine these things from a philosophical standpoint, and definitely. Anyway, we'll get into I'll finish getting into the data behind this here real quick. The woman, Kate Cox, 31, of the Dallas-Fort Worth area, sought court authorization for the abortion because her fetus was diagnosed on November 27th, which wasn't that long ago, folks. Let me just say, November 27th wasn't that long ago in court time, right? In court time. It wasn't that long ago. So November 27th, diagnosed with trisomy 18, a genetic abnormality that usually results in miscarriage, stillbirth, or death soon after birth. Now, I want to point out something. Let me stop right here. Actually, let me read this next paragraph and then I'll stop. Cox, who is about 20 weeks pregnant, said in her lawsuit that she would need to undergo her 3rd cesarean section if she continues the pregnancy, and that could jeopardize her ability to have more children, which she and her husband do want. Okay, so this trisomy 18, right? A rough Google search. Now, again, I know nothing about trisomy 18. I'm not a doctor. I did a couple of different Google searches, right? So I searched. I still don't know what you're talking about. I did a search, right, for the side effects, the survivability rates, I did a search for, you know, the living conditions of survivors, and there have been children born with trisomy 18 who have lived pretty long and healthy lives. That doesn't mean they haven't suffered, right? It is a life of suffering. Now, what trisomy 18 essentially is it's a genetic defect that creates what one could describe as a cocktail of birth defects, right? Respiratory defects, heart defects, and we're going to get into a little more of that, and also physical defects and mental defects. Like, you get this cocktail that's like a bag of all of the above. And so not only is it hard to survive to term, but then survive the birth and then survive life is damn near impossible. Now, it is possible, and there have been children who have done it. But we're talking like 1 in a million. You know, they say like 80%, 90% die within the first week. And most of the rest die before 2 weeks. And those are the ones that are born. She knows her baby has this. She knows her baby will die, probably before the end of term. Now, let me skim this article real quick and see if there's anything more important, because I want to get into the philosophical discussion here. Okay, so again, the two parts of me that are in conflict, right, is, okay, well, if the baby's going to die, you can kind of wait and see if the baby's going to die in utero, and then you can perform the extraction. But again, like she said, that might require having a cesarean section, which might make her... What the hell? Sorry. Yes, show the other comments. I'm sorry. Okay, we got Bill Dozer with an important point here. About to do a man who phenomenon here, but I've seen multiple individuals with developmental disabilities or genetic abnormalities who were supposed to die at birth that are now 7 years old. Yeah. And he actually wrote out old. There was a character limit in the banner thing. Sorry. Yeah, and that's where it's a philosophical hard point for me to argue. But also, okay, so the Texas law is supposed to have an exemption for viability and health of the mother. And if she is concerned about her ability to have more children after a third cesarean section, I think that can add a tiny bit more weight to the already large argument about viability. And yes, philosophically, I am pro-life, and I agree with Bill Dozer here when he said, you know, there are a lot of people walking around now supposed to die at birth. Look, let me just say myself, my mother gave birth to a little girl before I was born. And at the time there were birth defects. She did not survive the evening. My sister did not survive the evening, and my mother and father were told, don't get pregnant again. And of course, here I am, right? So this was years before I was born. So again, it's not like I'm, but you know, again, what doctors say aren't necessarily, you know, written in stone, handed down by God truth, right? But when they say your child is born with this genetic condition that is essentially going to be a life of torture, and that's if she survives, the 20% chance she might survive to term and through childbirth. She's probably going to die within the first 2 weeks. And it's going to be torturous because she's not going to be able to breathe, or her heart palpitations. And yes, I want to be the type of conservative to say, no, all life deserves protecting, even if it's torture, even if it's hell, even if it's a developmentally, like it's still life, and it deserves a chance to fight to live, right? If maybe the child, that baby will have this fighting spirit and fight to live and just want to live. But at the same time, look, man, I've had pets. I've had pets that have been in pain. Look, I've seen animals that have been in pain. Sometimes euthanasia is a thing, right? And so to me, this whole case is a philosophical conundrum. But under Texas law, they're supposed to have these medical exemptions. But Ken Paxton has decided no. Ken Paxton has decided this case does not fall into those medical exemptions. And now the Supreme Court has said, well, let's pause and take a look at it, and we'll rule later. Now, ultimately, we don't know what's going to happen. Julian Delfici has a good point here. Mild wearing a black wedding ring now. I wear it to pick up chicks, believe it or not. It works. Sorry. Yeah, I'm not married. I am not married. Julian Delfici here. Government provided euthanasia accounts for about 4% of deaths in Canada. And I'm not necessarily talking about, let government just decide babies should die, right? That's to me is an extreme. But this is a hard one. This is definitely a hard one. This is, on the one hand, I want to be pro-life, but on the other hand, I don't want this baby to be forced to be born and suffer. If the doctors are right. And then Julian Delfici goes on. I'm not going to bring this up, but Julian Delfici goes on to say, yeah, and granted, many of those folks are elderly and on their way out. Yeah, to some degree. And, just to kind of show, this was the medical article I brought up to read. Right? Surveillance guidelines for children with trisomy 18. This is like one of the first links if you Google trisomy 18. And it says, it is associated with high mortality rates, 75 to 95% in the first year of life, as well as significant morbidity in survivors. Low survival is largely due to the high prevalence of severe congenital anomalies in infants with this diagnosis. However, interventions to repair or palliate those with life-threatening anomalies are being performed at a higher rate for these infants, resulting in increased rates of survival beyond the first year of life. While it is documented that trisomy 18 is associated with severe cardiac malformations, these patients also have respiratory, neurological, neoplastic, genitourinary, abdominal, otolaryngologic, and orthopedic complications that can impact their quality of life. It's fucking hell. It is fucking hell. So, again, fundamentally, I'm pro-life. I'm like, let the baby live. But I'm also for euthanasia. In this particular instance, I think this mother has a chance to, in this life in an unfortunate manner, and continue her life and be able to try to have another child and hope that child's healthy. I believe this person has the right idea in her heart. She already has two pregnancies. I don't know if she has 2 children, but she's already had 2 pregnancies. So one could assume she's had 2 children. She had 2 cesarean sections, you know? So one would assume she has 2 children. She's not just trying to escape parental duties. She's not having an abortion for the wrong reasons. She's doing it because she genuinely believes her child is going to die. And the sooner she gets through with that, the sooner that her and her husband can continue to build upon their family. And so I say, if I were on the Supreme Court, like, this is a medical necessity in this case. Okay, so can we go to something a little more lighthearted before I go? And I have not actually even found a love don't judge yet. I haven't found a love don't judge yet. Okay, Bulldozer here. Let me bring this up real quick before we change topics. Let me bring this up from Bulldozer. Oh, sorry. There we go. I can empathize with the ENAP concerning her fears about yet another cesarean threatening her life. There seems to be a lot of might or could happen in that aspect, though. Look, I agree. We don't know. The child could overcome all of this. I mean, miracles do happen. And we could just trust in God. And I wish that were the case all the time. But like I said, I lean... And then Bulldozer goes on to say, let's talk about guns and Trump. No, let's talk about something a little more lighthearted. Well, okay, this probably isn't as lighthearted, but it's a little more lighthearted than killing babies. Let's be honest here. So let's share this instead. Let's talk about men and women, right? So fellas, when you go to a strip club, right? Or when you go to a strip tease, how are you expected to behave? How are you expected to behave at a strip club or a strip tease? What am I listening to? Well, you're expected to keep your fucking hands to yourself, of course, right? Because to touch one of the performers non-consensually, that'd be assault. Almost the R word, right? Well, this is from the Daily Mail today. Female theater goers at Magic Mike Live sexually assaulted staff, according to complaint made to the police. Police were made aware of groups of tipsy friends were said to have stripped and handled the ushers and waiters. The complaint has since been dismissed. Okay. Julian Delfici corrected me. How you behave at a strip club is keep your hands to yourself unless you bring enough money. All right. Well, you still aren't allowed to touch the bartenders and waitresses, though, right? And let's read it into this. Female theater goes at Magic Mike live show, and this is in London, not Vegas or New York, I think was the other one. Not that I researched where Magic Mike live is. It's just I happen to know that there is one in Vegas and there used to be one in Vegas. Now I think they're building something else in that spot. So yeah, female theater goers at Magic Mike live show sexually assaulted staff. According to the complaint made to police, police were made aware of groups of tipsy friends were said to have stripped and handled ushers and waiters, the Sun reports. But police have since dismissed the complaint. Should have just went to the Sun. I'm sorry. The audience at the Bowdy West End show is largely made up of screaming women who are promised a hot and hilarious night out. A notice to ticket holders advises them to pre-drink lightly, but continues, "We have a full bar and cute wait staff to serve you drinks at the show." Police were asked to look into whether some of those attending to the event may have manhandled waiters, drink runners, and hosts, who are said to be all young, good-looking lads, the newspaper reports. The complaint alleged that someone lunged at one of the ushers at London's Hippodrome Casino in Leicester Square and reportedly fled from the venue 20 minutes into his shift, according to the newspaper. A source told The Sun they tried to undress him. His braces were pulled down, then his shirt opened, and it went on and on. He was helpless. We never saw him again after that. It has happened to so many staff. Slaps on the bum, being grabbed, kissed, and pulled around by drunk guests. The newspaper was told that one woman who grabbed a waiter's crotch escaped with just a warning. It was claimed that another was pulled with a force toward a woman's cleavage, tearing off his clip-on tie in the process. Ooh, Lord. Several waiters have been flashed by inebriated guests who shout remarks such as, "Get your kook out." Mild, they had some D word. All right. Yeah, they wanted some D word. Muscular dancers who are also allegedly targeted, one with having his privates roughly grabbed, according to the newspaper. The show described itself on the website as 360-degree entertainment based on the hit movie. It has been running in London since 2018 with ticket prices up to £99. Magic Mike Live told Mail Online over 500,000 fans, mostly women, have enjoyed close to 2,000 performances of the show. The safety and well-being of our staff and audience is paramount importance. We have a zero-tolerance policy in respect to inappropriate behavior in our venue, and this is strictly enforced. We understand that this isolated complaint to the police by third party was dismissed completely. On Thursday night, a Scotland Yard spokesman said, "We're aware of a third-party report alleging sexual assaults at commercial premises in Leicester Square. There have been no arrests. We would always encourage any victim of sexual offense to contact police so they can receive appropriate support." Oh, Sanglet, that's great. The guests were lucky not being arrested for carrying stabbing implements. Yeah, the guests were very lucky. Okay, so yeah, we're behind schedule, but I want to talk about one other thing. And I'm not going to bring up any news articles, but are y'all familiar with, have you seen the story going around, the buzzwords about, and I really don't like to cover other content creators very often, but I do enough content that has to do with cheating and polyamory and relationships. This stuff going on with Destiny and his wife. Have you folks seen any of this? So the content creator Destiny has long been known for having a polyamorous relationship with his wife, and people have joked that, you know, she's banging all of his friends and she's banging strangers and that he's a cuckold, right? And for the most part, I tend to take I don't care what people do in their bedrooms, like, as long as they're happy. But now they're getting a divorce, folks. Now they're getting a divorce. So after all of these, and look, Radix Verum, it's hard to Radix Verum, she had a really good video on this last night. So yeah, check her out. I wish I could tell you how to spell it or post it in the chat. I don't know, maybe Julian, you're the chat wizard. If you could post a link to Radix Verum in the chat, because I couldn't begin to tell you how to spell her name. But anyway, Radix Verum had a good video on this yesterday about the whole Destiny situation, and brought up a lot of old videos where Destiny's like, well, yes, but as long as she comes home to me at the end of the day, right? As long as she comes home. And yes, Cookie, yes, Julian is not a wizard. And Julian, I'm not trying to sign you up to do my labor. I'm just saying, if you want to, if you know where her channel is, and you have a second, I would too. I'd totally appreciate that. And like, I know you're a wizard of doing that stuff, but yes, you're not, Cookie says you're not a wizard, but you do have skills. You have amazing skills at being able to come up with links. Holy shit. Yep, there it is. Okay, that's her YouTube channel. Cool. So yeah, this situation with Destiny. So yeah, he kept saying, well, as long as she comes home to me at night. Well, so now the buzz around the divorce is that he had concerns that her new boyfriend was toxic. And that this is kind of what led to the divorce, is like she picked the toxic guy over Destiny. Good night, Cookie. And so that got me thinking a little bit about all of the cuckoldry going on the internet. And look, before I get too deep into this, check this out. This is Adam 22, right? This is Adam 22. You guys familiar with Adam 22? He's like the biggest cuck on the internet right now. This is him and his wife picking out
Lil D, is he next? Hello.
Picking out men's Johnsons.
Okay. Wow.
That's just him chilling right now. It's
Yeah.
Let's look at it while it's hard.
Is that what you want?
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Like, nah, man.
I can handle that.
This is too much. This is too much.
Okay, we can cut. That's good.
This is too much. Don't do this. Don't do this. Don't do this. It's degenerate. Look, I have no problem with degeneracy, but why do you have to share it with the internet? You shouldn't have to share it with the internet. And I see you over in Nick Ricada's chat, Cookie. Not Johnsons, but Tallywhackers. Okay, yeah, Tallywhackers. That's a good name for it. Oh, and yes, my chair's squeaking because I'm rocking back and forth because this topic makes me nervous, right? I don't automatically hate the concept of polyamory. I was in a very successful polyamorous relationship myself. You know, I'm currently monogamous, but look, I kind of understand the idea behind polyamory, but and for me, the issue here is the issue with any other relationship, right? You have to have honesty, integrity, right? It's not just that like polyamory is designed to blow up. I think it blows up because you have more people and therefore more chances to fuck up. And when we already have a divorce rate of like 60%, like you're obviously there's more moving parts. And this situation where she picked a toxic dude over Destiny, come on. Anyway, so that brings us to the next segment. The Love Don't Judge. And I have not brought up a Love Don't Judge yet this week, but I do know they have a new one that is about polyamorous. So let's see here. Let's see if maybe we'll just watch that one. What do you think? Is that what you guys want to see, or you guys want to see something weirder? You want polyamory or something weirder? First person to say something in the chat gets their win. We could do gay polyamory. We can do age play. We can do cripples. Yeah. Chose a man who demanded exclusivity despite him being a brain dead twink. Yeah. So like you're in this relationship where, and the backstory is that she was the one who said, look, I've never been in a monogamous relationship and never would want such a thing, and demanded. And then she's like, well, my new guy wants to be exclusive. So you get going. Bye. And then Julian says, not that Destiny isn't a brain dead twink, but have you seen the other guy? Yeah. Okay, so let me go to the old. Let me see how we can get. Okay. Let's do this one. Married a man on death row. About to start crinkle posting in chat again, Bulldozer says. No, not at all. I only do that when people post a bunch of cats over in Nick's chat. Then I'll start posting women in diapers and clown sexy clown girls. But I just do that as a troll, right? I'm not attracted to clowns or diapers. Let me just point that out. I do it as a troll because I hate people that post cat videos. Okay, so let's do this. Married a man on death row. So let's see what kind of wonderful woman this is here. Share this tab. Add to stage. Here we go.
This is Sigrid.
I met my husband first as a pen pal.
She fell in love with Alan.
When I decided to...
This is Sigrid.
I met my husband first as
we're going to go long today,
she
folks.
fell in love with Alan.
When I decided to write to someone
now, wait a minute. Was
on
it,
death row.
Wait a minute. How did she get the picture of him to get... Oh, is that a painting behind them in the... Okay, yeah, that's a mural on the wall in the visitors area of the prison. Awesome.
Decided to write to someone on death row.
Alan was charged with murder and burglary and is currently serving his sentence on death row.
When people learn about my relationship, most of the comments I have is that I don't care about the victims. It's hard to be in a relationship that is based on something that is so tragic. My family was not happy. They were really scared for me. They're like, wow, he's like the worst person ever.
With Alan not looking to be released anytime soon, will Sigrid finally be accepted for her choice of husband?
It was really hard, but we managed, and now we have a son. It's funny because
you have a son.
Really look like him. So that was the picture that was with the ad when I first saw him.
Wow, they got conjugal.
And he has been in prison for 15 years.
I mean, you gotta love the whole sleeve tattoo from her chest all the way down. Like,
he has been convicted of murder.
That's classy as fuck.
In 2005, Alan was charged with first-degree murder and put on death row for his crimes. There are no plans for him to be released anytime soon.
This is the very first box, I think. I started writing to prisoners, not prisoners in general, but death row inmates. Because I was against the death penalty. This is
against
just like
the death penalty.
1 box is 1 year. I believe in second chances and rehabilitation. Yeah, that's the very first letter that he responded to my awkward letter. Pretty quickly, we started just writing all the time. Your life sounds very exciting to me. I can't wait to hear more about you and your life in Copenhagen. When I started to realize that I was having maybe feelings for him and him for me, we both got scared because it was not just a prison relationship. It was also a really long distance relationship because I was...
So wait a minute. She still, like, she was against the death penalty. So she just started writing to random prisoners and then happened to fall in love with one. To me, there's something missing here. Like there's a part of the timeline we're not getting yet.
Was in Europe. We took a step back and we tried to stop writing to each other. And we were both miserable. And
we were both
after
miserable.
6 weeks, he wrote back.
Well, of course he's miserable. He's in fucking prison.
Their long-distance relationship blossomed, and after a year of writing, Alan proposed.
We got engaged here because I'm showing my ring.
They had to prepare for their big day to be behind bars.
He just made a little speech saying how much he loved me and how much I mattered to him, and that he really
was
wanted
such
to
a
spend the rest of his life
compassionate
with me.
murderer, you know?
It's bittersweet when I look at the pictures.
He was such a
it's
sweet
really hard
man.
and seeing us like together holding hands. It makes me really nostalgic.
Wait,
and
Salem
I really
said
hope
retirement.
I
She
can
said something about
have
retirement?
that again soon.
I must have missed it.
Not everyone was happy about the couple's big news, and Sigrid faced a lot of criticism from family and friends.
Well, no shit.
I think it's when they found out his name and looked him up, and that's when they all disappeared. They were really scared for me, and I
when's
think
the
they were
wedding? Where do we show up?
wondering who he was and if he was being honest with.
Where do we show up, huh? When's the wedding? And then they Google it. Oh, wait. It's not at the Four Seasons. It's at the federal penitentiary.
With me, a lot of my family, I send, I think, maybe 80, maybe 60 to my own family wedding announcement cards, and I got maybe 4, I got your card, a couple of congratulations.
She did
and
have
that
2
was
witnesses
it.
show up.
I got a few people who deleted me from their Facebook account. I understand that it's really hard to understand. So I just would like a few people to understand.
I'm sorry. I gotta stop this for a minute. Julian. Her name, Cigarette, sounds like a redneck Brit, which is one of her, saying cigarette. Julian Delfigi says, let me get a cigarette. Yes. And this blows my mind. She's astonished that some people wouldn't be supportive of her decision to marry a murderer who's never getting out of prison.
Me. It makes me happy, and I don't get why it bothers people so much. People who are supposed to love me, they're bothered because someone is loving me right and making me happy.
And it's not just the judgment that's difficult. Being married to a man in prison has its other challenges.
Look, if it makes you happy, it can't be that bad, right? Cheryl Crow.
Florida Correctional Institution. To accept this free call, press 1.
Except Destiny was pretty happy until this
How are
week.
you?
Good, you?
I'm good. I'm shaking. I almost missed the phone call.
I wish we could spend more quality time together. That's probably the most difficult part.
Oh, I wish we could spend more quality time
It's
together.
harder than I think we both thought it would be. Just to live here, I guess.
That people, stigmatize you just for being in a relationship with me. But I know that people who judge you that way are a waste of skin anyways.
Yeah, I love you.
What? OMG. Someone who's on death row for first-degree murder just called judgy family members worthless fucking what was that again? Worthless?
People who judge you that way are a
waste of skin. You're a waste of skin for judging her, but he's literally about to be removed from the planet by his government for murdering people. But you're a waste of skin for judging it.
Skin anyways.
Yeah, I love you. I miss you.
Je t'aime.
Je t'aime. Bonne nuit. I love you.
Goodbye.
When I go to visit, it's always bittersweet because I'm really happy I spent 6 great hours and we could touch, which is really important to just be able to touch.
Oh, if it's important to touch it, man, maybe don't get one behind fucking federal custody.
We don't want to say how my son was conceived. I think it's important that we can sit and explain to my son how he was conceived.
Okay, so we got to do a poll here. Can I do? I'm not gonna log into YouTube to do the poll. So just one's in the chat. One's in the chat if you think the kid's not his. One's in the chat if you think the kid's not his. Because yeah, they probably have some conjugal. But come on, enough that. Here's part 1 of a long Julian Delfigi here. And then here's the second part. She marries the inmate because she knows he isn't going anywhere and she doesn't have to deal with him as a regular married would. Yeah. Okay, so Julian Delfigi put a 2 in the chat. I'm assuming that means it's his kid. Sure. Okay, cool. I just think it's lonely and hard, man. But yeah, she seems committed. So maybe.
Before someone else does it for us. I like to respond that he is in prison, but I'm not.
Oh, he said based on what she said
it was really hard.
I think it's his, but she also said my son, but not our son. Okay, let me replay what she just said while I was talking.
I think it's important that we can sit and explain to my son how he was conceived. Someone else does it for us. I like to respond that he is in prison, but I'm not.
Now wait.
It was really hard, but we managed, and now we have a son.
We have a son. Okay.
Well, sadly, Ellen missed out.
Did she smuggle
Everyone
his
who had a
sperm
baby know
out?
how fast they grow and how much they learn
Explain
in such a
how he
short
was
amount of time.
conceived, because I'm outside.
I tried to send short videos, but it's not the same. I will tell him that his dad is not who people are going to tell him he is. That is an amazing
So he wasn't
person,
found guilty
that
of
is
first-degree
really
murder.
caring and sweet, and that he loves them very, very much.
But being a single parent in a new country has been tough.
We are in the town where I feel like people might have...
Sanglant 86, wouldn't he be put down before a kid would be born? Unfortunately, Sanglant, like, this is the unfortunate thing about death row, is death row inmates cost more than life sentences because they spend a lot of time on death row writing to politicians and courts, getting their death sentence delayed, clogging up the courts, clogging up the time of the staff. I mean, unfortunately, yeah, it becomes a legal clusterfuck for death row inmates. And yeah, they can get their sentences prolonged for decades often, before they actually see the needle or the chair.
Heard about the case, and so it scares me telling who my husband is. I don't know how to approach my husband in the case.
Parent in a new country has been tough.
A new country.
We are in the town where I feel like people might have heard about the case.
Oh, so she's in the local area
to
be closer
who my
to
husband
him.
is.
And she's worried that her neighbors might know who he is.
I started a pen pal website with one of my friends.
I just want to say real quick over to Cookie. I see your comments over in Ricada's chat, but like if you post them in my chat, I can show them online and we can talk about them. But I don't post Nick Ricada's chat into my chat. I did one time. I'm not going to be doing that much more.
We really truly believe that people are more than, the worst action of their life. So
wait, what was that?
We know that if they
what was that on
find
the
a pen
tablet?
pal,
Hang on.
it could be like, we know that people are...
Welcome to Wire of Hope's Prison Pen Pal program. Something, people with volunteer pen pals from all over the world for a meaningful experience. Wow. I just want to point out that my girlfriend says I go to weird places on the internet. This is the first I'm seeing this. Like, I've heard of people being prison pen pals, but this is the first I'm hearing this.
Are more than, the worst action of their life. So we know that if they find a pen pal, it could be life-changing. Because we've been...
And I just want to say one more thing over to Cookie. Yeah, this ring, like, I wasn't able to wear it until I lost 50 pounds. Now I can wear it again. So, yeah.
Just regular pen pals to other people, and we made a difference in their life.
Despite all the challenges they face,
so this is like her
Sigrid
hobby.
and Alan are looking forward to the future.
Being with Alan definitely changed my life, everything in my life, because I'm really embraced
Julia.
as who I am completely and loved
like
unconditionally by
catfish.
someone who I love the same way. And now we have the little guy here, so this is something I would have never wanted with anyone else.
Okay. And of course, yeah, then we get flashed the polyamory video that I was talking about earlier. Yeah, we'll eventually cover that one, but let me bring it down. All right. So that's our Love Does Admonish segment for the day. Let me just give my final thoughts on that video. Look, people can't help who they fall in love with, right? She said she just wanted to start being pen pals, but like I said, I think there's a chapter to the story we're not hearing, right? Yes, Julian Delfigi in the chat. I'm not going to post this one, but he says, how long until she complains about the difficulties of single motherhood? -2 seconds. Yeah, exactly, because eventually she's going to get lonely and the letters aren't going to be enough. The phone calls aren't going to be enough. the twice a month visits aren't going to be enough. And the raising of a child is going to become overwhelming. And she's going to look for a support network. She's going to look for help. And she's in a new country. And believe you me, there are plenty of fellas out there willing to provide her with some company and some distraction. That's why I thought initially maybe the baby wasn't his, because yeah, it's pretty easy when you're the new girl in town to be looking for an outlet and find it. And then just be like, well, yeah, it's my prison husband's. We smuggled some semen out of the prison or something. I don't know why they were making a big deal about how the baby was conceived unless she either smuggled the semen out. Like, all they had to do is mention that they do get conjugal visits and they're able to touch once in a while. But can you imagine, like, all your sex pretty much has to take place with a prison guard present, you know? They may not be able to, but yeah, they'd have to be able to watch, you'd think. But again, I don't know much about conjugal visits because I don't date inmates. Shut Up, I Can Cook says, Tallywhacker she will want. Lord Mild, really? And why is this chick allowed into America? Yeah, that's a good question, Cookie. Why is this chick allowed into America? Did she move to America on a marriage visa to an inmate? Of course you know about Tallywhacker stuff. I know about some Tallywhacker stuff, but, you know, I'm no urologist. Okay, folks, so we have now went 15 minutes over. Eventually, this Saturday show might wind up going to 2 hours. But yes, as I said at the beginning of the show, I will probably be doing a show on Monday. Not sure what time just yet. So be watching for those notifications and watching for me on your feed. That is, if you've clicked that subscribe or follow button. If you've clicked that follow button on Reddit, or not Reddit, what the hell? Rumble. Wow, the whiskey's kicking in, folks. Cheers. If you've clicked that follow button on Rumble or subscribe button on YouTube and hit that little bell for notification on YouTube, yeah, then you should get a notification when I'm going live on Monday. Wish me good luck on my sleep study, please. And yes, because dear Lord, I do not want to have to wear a internet connected CPAP just to keep my dang CDL driver's license. So yeah, got that going on in the next 48 hours. I'll give updates on that Monday. Yeah, I'll probably have some kind of a show Monday. I might have 2 shows Monday. I'll do a live stream and I might do a comic. You might have noticed a bunch of comics behind me. I might do a comic review show in addition to my live stream. So be on the lookout for those if you care at all about Batman comics and Superman comics. I'll throw something like that up too. So yeah, Monday's going to be an interesting day. Please check me out then. And as always, Wednesdays and Saturdays right here at www.rumble.com/mild/live. You can catch me every Wednesday and Saturday at 6 p.m. I will be back here Wednesday for that show. In the meantime, click the like button, subscribe. Yeah, that like button below. I haven't looked at the like stats yet, but hopefully you've all have clicked that at least once. Please don't click it more than once or whatever. And then yeah, let's see. If you're new here, I haven't seen any new faces, but if you're new here, please watch a second video. There's lots of entertaining stuff in my back catalog. And the algorithm really likes it if new subscribers watch a second video. And sharing this off platform, algorithms like that too. In the meantime, folks, thank you everyone, and especially thank you to Bill Dozer. You rock, man. And a big thank you to Julian Delfigi for posting that link in the chat. I appreciate everything. I appreciate y'all being here. Like that's the huge thing. But then when you all are willing to go that extra mile for me, it's so much more makes me want to go the extra mile for you. And maybe next time I'm going to have those freaking links ready. So yeah, catch me next time. And until then, take care of one another. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Outlast the haters. Important. Outlast those haters, man. Don't get any on you. And if you do, rub it in real good. Cheers, folks, man. Take care. Good night.